Hello, this is Liz Lawless, your host for Wild West Diversity, where we tell the rarely and untold stories of multicultural contributions to the settling of the American Wild West. Each Thursday at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, we'll be sharing a historical legend and a living legend. Someone from history and someone living that Western lifestyle today, keeping it alive for the future generation. We hope you'll join us on Thursday. If not, we'll see you on the trail. Hello, this is your host, Liz Lawless for Wild West Diversity, and we are here, as you've noticed, every Thursday from 5 to 5:30. And today I'm really excited because we're going to be talking a departure here a little bit, but not really. Still talking about cowboys because this is Western lifestyle. But I'm excited to have Jose Hernandez, who basically is a entertainer. He's a circus entertainer, a street entertainer, and so I think you'll be very interested in his story and what he has to say. And as we know on this show, we want to share with you opportunities for jobs and things that existed in the past, and those things still exist today. So, Jose, welcome to the show.
Hi, Liz. How's it going?
It's going great. So I'm so glad to have you here today because a little bit of a departure, but maybe not so much. So tell me how you got in the entertainment business. When did you start?
Okay, so I started at on Ringling Brothers Circus.
Ah,
The
okay.
show came to town, and I had only seen Ringling Brothers once before that time, and
Uh-huh.
I was so amazed with the show. So I went to see the show, and at intermission, I asked the popcorn vendor if they were hiring,
Uh-huh.
and he said, right then and there, he said, "Yes, come
Uh-huh.
tomorrow, 9:30 in the morning. You're hired. No
Right.
paperwork, no nothing." And I
Uh,
was so excited.
sure.
And I
And
went the next day,
how old
and
were you?
I was 15 years old.
15. Okay.
Yes, I ran away with the circus when I was 15. But after I started selling, like working with the circus, they had already told me it was only for that weekend.
Right.
So I couldn't travel with them.
Yeah.
So my curious self snuck into one of the trucks. And when they got to the next city, they found me inside one of the trucks, and they were like, "Well, he's already here. Let's keep him in."
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh. That's great. That's great.
yeah.
So you just worked different jobs around, and then when did you become when did you start working in the ring or whatever? I guess is that what it's
Well,
called?
previous to joining the circus, I had already had stilt walking skills and juggling
Oh,
skills,
okay, okay. So you
and but obviously to get my foot in the door, I had to do whatever they needed me to do. So I was selling
right.
popcorn at first,
Uh-huh.
and then I moved up to backstage,
Uh-huh.
and I was a prop boy.
Right.
As I was a prop boy, one of the stilt walkers got hurt, and they were
Uh-huh.
going to cut the act out. And I was like, no,
Right.
no, no, no. I can do that. Put me in, coach, you
Put
know?
me in. There you go.
Show me
That's
the
right.
choreography. They were like, no, you can't stilt walk. What are you talking about? I said, give me a pair of stilts. Show me the choreography. I got you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, more or less, they put me in. They showed me the choreography. And
Uh-huh.
on my first time on stage, I come out of the curtains. I got stage fright. There was over 12,000 people in the arena. So I
Right.
turn back around, I go back in through the curtain, and they're yelling at me, go out there. And I was like, I'm scared. They're like, get out there now. And so I went out there, I did my thing, and it was great.
Uh,
And, and then that's where it just took off after that.
right. Right. Yeah. Just that first experience on stage or speaking in front of somebody, or
Yeah.
it just there's nothing else like it. It's
Yeah,
a
it's that
different.
moment where all eyes on you and you
Yeah.
didn't expect to see that many people. It
Right.
was that. I got stage fright.
Right, right. Well, and they say, if you're not a little bit nervous, before you go on, something might
Hmm.
be wrong. You can use that
Right, right.
energy and those nerves to really knock it out of the park. So,
True, true.
well,
To
that's
this day, it still happens to me. So, I think that's pretty
right,
normal in a performer's life.
right, right. I think so too. So you've worked with the circus there for years. Y'all travel, I guess, what all over the country or all over the world, or
Yes, we did. At least with the unit I worked for, So Ringling Brothers had 3 units.
Oh, okay.
I worked on the blue unit. They had the blue, the red, and the gold.
Right.
And the unit that I worked, every year they would change the route. So one year they would do the West Coast, one year they do the East Coast, and then the other year they'll do the Central.
Right. Right.
And basically within the country, we traveled all of the states within the country.
Right. Right. Did you have a favorite? Was there a favorite
My favorite would have to be
city?
California.
Yeah, California.
It was dry and hot there, but I enjoyed my time while we were there. We were there for like 2 months in different cities.
Yeah. And so you kind of got to see all of the different countries too.
Yeah.
A little bit. Or do you have any time off, or are you just working the whole time that you're there?
So for us, we lived on a train. And our off days were spent traveling on the train from city to city. Because it would take us 2 days to show up, 1 day to unload the train. It was a what was it? Almost 2-mile long train.
Right.
We had one of the longest trains in America.
Right. Yeah.
And so we'd spend 2 days traveling, 1 day unloading, and then the rest of the week was setting up, getting ready, prepping, painting the props if we had to. And so we did have downtime, but not as far as a day off.
Right.
So on the downtime, we would go and explore the city. Like, let's go grab something to eat. Let's go walk. And it was fun.
It was fun to see. Yeah. To travel and see. That's great. That's great. Well, that's fabulous. Well, I think we have some video here of you performing at the circus. So we're gonna play that for our watchers, people that are watching the show. So we're gonna do that right now for a minute, and then we'll come back and you can tell us some more stories.
Sounds good.
Right. So wasn't that very exciting? So if you have an interest in the circus, I guess that's you can still do that today. I guess the pandemic has probably put things on hold a little bit, but are y'all seeing a little bit of movement of stuff to go forward? Tell us kind of what your experience was with the pandemic and how did that affect
Okay. So with the pandemic, I'm kind of happy that things happened the way it did as far as the circus, because I got stuck here in Texas with the pandemic, with the lockdown.
Oh, okay,
So,
right, because we weren't traveling, and then
yeah. So we were traveling. I think we started in Temple, and we made our way to Dallas. We were here in the Grand Prairie outlets,
right,
and we were supposed to do 2 weeks playing with the circus, and then on our first week we got shut down by the city, so we had to relocate because the mall wouldn't let us stay there either.
Right.
We relocated to the Traders Village parking lot. We were there for about 8 months.
Oh wow.
And I was like, okay, I need to do something. I can't go back home to New York. I can't, nobody's booking the circus, so we can't perform. And I had to find different routes to, keep in my industry, my line of work. So I went to work for Six Flags.
Okay, yeah, that's great.
Six Flags over Texas. And I was a performer there. I was a stilt walker and a juggler. And I also did high profile characters, which interact with guests up close and help them out.
Right, and take pictures and and direct them or help them find different places in the park and all that kind of stuff. Recommend shows.
So it was a lot of photo ops because everybody wanted a picture with the stilt walker.
Right.
Right. But yeah, I would direct them to where they needed to go. I would try to help them with guest services. Whatever they needed, I had them.
Right. Well, that's great because it is. And so, do you play like different characters at different times, or?
Yes. So
you you're fully made up, right? I mean, you have the full makeup, the
head to
full
toe,
costume,
the hair. The hair's my hair. It's not a wig. So we do the hair, the makeup. We have airbrush artists come in, known airbrush artists. We have our wardrobe team that dresses us. And we basically try to fit the theme of the festival going on. Like once we did a Best of Texas festival at Six Flags Over Texas, and I got to be a cowboy on stilts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody called me Big Tex, and I'm not from Texas, so I was a little lost. I was like, "Who's Big Tex?" I had to Google him.
Right.
And then I found out, and I was like, "Okay, that makes sense. I'm Big Tex. Let's go."
Let's go. That's great. That's great fun. Yeah. So that's fun. So if y'all are watching, as you're watching and listening, if you're listening to this on the podcast, did you hear there Jose was talking about all the different jobs that exist? Makeup artist, costume team. I mean, all of these things, hair, so if there's, you don't have to just go down the street and work at a beauty salon. You can work in the entertainment field in the background, helping put these shows on and doing all these things, sets, props. I mean, there's all kinds of opportunities that exist for people. And so, if you have an interest in that, you're watching this, you're seeing Jose, and you're going, man, if Jose can do this, maybe I can do this too, or I'd love to do something like that, or I've always wanted to run off and join the circus.
Yeah, and I want to add to that as well because every position is important, and not just because you're not in the spotlight doesn't mean that you're less important. No, every position is important, and I think that the people behind the scenes are more important to me because they have to make sure everything is running smooth for us to show off our skills,
Right.
So
exactly.
If anybody's trying to look to get into that business, follow your heart. Do what you want to do.
Right. There's an opportunity somewhere.
Yeah. Everybody has a place.
Right. And the people are great to work with, I'm assuming. I mean, we do rodeos, which is a kind of a form of entertainment, obviously, but it's such like a family. I mean, you become family with folks, like you say, when you travel with folks or show up over and over again with the same people doing, trying to do the best job that you can. I mean, it really builds that camaraderie and that sense of togetherness. Like you say, you're being a part of something that's bigger than yourself. So
it does. And like on that one unit that I worked for on Ringling, we had 24 nationalities
just
on that unit alone. So you get to know different cultures, different languages. You get to meet these people, their ways, and it's just amazing, you know?
Right. And in the food and the music and, the dance, all the stuff, I'm sure, it's just really compelling and really interesting and fun to, like you say, to be exposed to that. And it opens your mind up maybe to, to the whole world. So that's really exciting too. Well, I think we have some other video footage, and I guess this is maybe some street entertainment footage that we have here, and so we're gonna take a break for that, and we're gonna show that to our people watching here today, and then we'll come back and we'll talk a little bit about maybe some things you have coming up in the future.
All right.
So this is Liz, and we're back with Jose Hernandez, and we're talking about the circus. We're talking about entertainment. We're talking about street entertainment, and just making people feel good and smile and laugh. I mean, I'm sure with the pandemic that people are starting to get back out again. Are you kind of seeing that in your what you're doing now? You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So I'm trying to start my own thing right now. I didn't fully retire, but I kind of put like the traveling on pause, and I want to work on my own little business called Tinytainment.
Okay.
And we're trying to focus on small events, well, any type of event really. Right. But we want to start small and work our way up. It's like weddings, birthday parties, grand openings. Right. Any type of event that you have, you can just book us. We have stilt walkers, jugglers, aerialists. I have centerpiece girls.
Right.
It's kind of like, the way I see it, the feel is like that of a Renaissance fair where everybody's dressed up in themes walking around, and you get the performers get to interact with the guests and stuff like that.
Right. Okay, great. And so is Tiny your name? That's your stage name, isn't it?
Yes, Tiny is my stage name, which I'm going to tell you how I came up with that name. Because the first circus I started working for, before Ringling, it was on a smaller scale. We used to call them mud shows. We didn't have a midget in the circus. There was no little person.
Oh, okay.
So whenever they say, oh, go get Tiny, they would think it's the midget. But then here I come on my stilts, 8 feet tall. And it was kind of like a comedic take on it. So it kind of stuck,
And it stuck. Yeah, that's great. I love it. So that's Tiny Entertainment. And so you'll be able to book Jose if you're having a birthday party, if you're having a grand opening, if you're having a wedding, you want something a little bit different. This will be great. So you can see that. You'll be able to see his information will be there at the bottom of the screen. It'll also be in the description of the show, so you can always go back to the show description and find the email and the phone numbers if you want to get in touch. And so we appreciate that very much. So what are you doing now? Right now, like you say, are you still doing some work in entertainment while you're building this other stuff, or?
Right now it's been a lot more of rehearsing and like how do you call it? Get like cleaning out my skills and getting it down.
Practicing.
Yes.
I mean, it's like you say, I mean, you can't, you don't just go and pick up juggling things, one day and 30 minutes later you're juggling. Usually,
yeah, it takes a lot of rehearsal time, especially juggling,
practice,
because there's different techniques and different kind of moves that you could do. You could juggle hats, clubs, rings, balls. If you got the skill, you can juggle anything.
Right, you kind of work your way up, don't you? Maybe you start. Yeah. I don't. For me, there would be no easy thing to start with, but juggling. I don't know if I have the coordination for that. But my nephew probably be great.
It's not that hard. I used to do, during the pandemic, I used to do clinics
Oh, okay.
Where we would juggle. I have a smaller set of stilts, and we would put kids on stilts so they could get the feel of it. It's really not that hard. And if you really want to do it, then you'll get it down. It's something that you have to have that drive.
Right, right, to do that. So what are some of the, I guess, so if you will, share some of the highlights, I guess, for over the years that you've done, and so maybe some of the struggles too, because we know every profession is different, but there's ups and downs. There's some things that you just have to maybe don't really want to do, but you do it anyway because you love the part that you do love. When you get to the part that you love, which is the entertaining or whatever, and making people smile, I would bet that that's just a huge rush for you and your team.
Yeah, as P.T. Barnum said once, the best art form is that of making others laugh. So if you can make somebody at least smile, then that to me that makes my day. If they enjoy what I'm doing, what I'm performing for them, and that's the top, that's the peak right there.
Right.
Some of the struggles that I've encountered throughout the years is mainly being away from family, because when you travel in these types of shows and you don't have your own RV or your camper or something like that, and they have to provide you with housing, they won't provide it for your family if they don't work for the circus. So that's kind of one of the struggles, just being away from the family.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, the highlight is, you're doing what you love. You're traveling and you're knowing, because there's so much to see out there.
Right.
And if you don't want to go out and see it, then there's just so much. You have to go and see what's out there.
Right. You would hope that you'd be interested, that people would be interested. And I think people watching this show, they're curious, and our whole show is about, telling those rarely and untold stories so that people know and make that connection to history, like you say, there have been Hispanic cowboys, vaqueros, for 200 years here. I mean, that's where we have horses. That's where we have a lot of our cowboy language, like lariat, rope came from lariat, charro. I mean, cowboy comes from charro. I mean, all of those words and that culture and that music. I mean, that gets incorporated into our lives if we get to experience it, and that just makes life richer and fuller. And so we appreciate so much that you're on and that you're talking about this activity, because a lot of people, like you say, they probably have gone to the circus or seen a circus maybe when y'all came to town, but they didn't really know the background. They didn't really know, well, how do you get involved? How do you do something like this? Well, you ask, or you show up.
Yeah, you just show up and ask. That's what I did, and I feel like I got lucky, because what I didn't know growing up was that there are circus schools. There are schools that will teach you skills for performing. And I didn't know that until I joined the circus, and that's when I found out, oh, that's how these people learn their skills.
Right.
And a lot of them are also second or third generation from circus in their family, so they have like passed down skills and tricks and secrets that they won't teach you in school, but it's all part of it.
Right, it's all part of the lifestyle and the stuff, and so that is what it is. I mean, it's a lifestyle, and and being in the entertainment industry, I mean, that's a different lifestyle. Rodeo and cowboys, that's particular lifestyle. And Western, ranching is different than living in the city. I mean, it just is, and you experience different things. But that's what we want people to know. We want people to know that are watching. We want kids especially to know that, that connection to their history. I mean, y'all can see here, that when you come and watch this show, you're going to see African Americans, you're going to see Hispanics, you're going to see Native Americans, you're going to see women, you're going to be, that we all had a part in participating in creating the life. And in the past, it was people in the past, they created life, they made choices. And most of them ordinary people, just like you and I, who lived extraordinary lives because of the choices they made. What do you think you'd have been doing if you hadn't joined the circus? If you hadn't run off and joined the circus, do you know, or is there something you think that have in the background?
Well, to be honest, before I joined the circus, I was working for 20th Century Fox.
Oh, okay.
I was digitalizing DVDs in the factory in Alabama.
Right.
And if I would have joined the circus, I'd probably still be there.
Right.
You know, working my overnight shift,
right.
digitalizing DVDs.
Right. Well, you'd probably be having to do some kind of internet download thing now, but
Yeah, probably. Yeah,
right,
but it's probably changed now.
Right, you would have to learn that new. You'd have to learn that new technology, which is like for me. But some people like that. But well, that's it. And so, see, our choices and our actions. I mean, they do have ramifications, and whether it's a good choice or a bad choice. And so that's why we encourage you to make positive choices. We encourage you on this show to do what you love. That's what you're hearing from people that come on that we interview. So Jose, I appreciate you very much, and I know people are going to really enjoy the videos, the entertainment, the clips that we played earlier. You can always come back. You can find Jose there at his email at jose@elvaquero20@live.com. We'll put his other information. His contact and phone number is 682-706-4016 if you're listening to our podcast. And stay tuned for that Tinytainment story, because if you need some entertainment for an event, you want to keep Jose in mind for that. Jose, if there's like maybe one last thing that you would like to share with our audience, what would that be? Either about the entertainment industry or just encourage people?
I would say in general, follow your heart. There's no wrong decision. If you feel like that's what you want to do, stick to it.
Right.
Follow it,
Yeah, go and do that. Take a chance, take a risk. I mean, that's the thing. And I think if nothing else in the pandemic for sure has taught us that, that life may be different than we think. And and that things can happen that we never thought. I mean, none of us ever assumed that something like this would happen and that it would go on for so long. And so I think people are reevaluating where they're at. And so so we would encourage you to take a risk. We would encourage you, if you want to do anything related to Western lifestyle, that you follow that. Find somebody that you like. You can find somebody on YouTube. You can find somebody on social media. Make contact with that person. Most people are really nice. Most people want to mentor, don't you? Do you have people? I'm sure, Jose, you have people that you've mentored over the years that said, "Hey, man, how do I do this?" Or if they worked in one job and they said, "Well, how do I get in the ring? How do I get?"
And it's really nice because it's a tradition that we want to keep going. We want it to live on for as many years as possible. And
that's right.
Since some people don't know where to find these skills, and somebody comes up to me and asks me, I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'll teach you. Just come to my house, or I'll teach you right here if I have my equipment on me."
Right, exactly. And then, like Jose mentioned earlier, there are schools too for different things. There are bull riding schools, there are rodeo clown schools, or bullfighter schools, like we've talked about in the past with some of our other interviewees. And as Jose's mentioned, there are schools where you can go and learn things related to the circus. Maybe you like animals. Maybe you want to deal with animals. Now, that might be an area that you're interested in. But all those things exist. So check those things out. We thank you so much for watching. As I mentioned, we're here on Thursdays from 5 to 5:30. We hope you'll catch the show here. And if you like it, we hope that you'll subscribe. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel. Obviously, you're watching this live either on Facebook or on LinkedIn or YouTube. But once the show is over, it gets archived to our YouTube channel at Wild West Diversity. So we hope you'll check that out. If you'll go to wildwestdiversity.com, you can subscribe to our newsletter, and then you'll get the written version. So Jose's story will be there. We'll give you a little bit more background on him and some of the other things he's been involved with. But all of that information is going to be there at our wildwestdiversity.com. Like you say, if you're a podcaster, you like to listen to podcasts, or you're commuting or something, or working out, or cleaning around the house, you can punch in your favorite podcast and search Wild West Diversity. And you're going to find these wonderful interviews that we've done, like we did today with Jose. So, well, thank you, Jose. I really appreciate you being here. I appreciate you sharing a part of history. The circus has a long time history. not only in this country, but like you say, across the world, all across Europe. I mean, it's maybe a bigger deal in Europe maybe than it has been sometimes here, maybe just because it's so big, I guess. But as you mentioned, 24 different nationalities and people. You learn so much. So we would encourage you to read, to listen, to watch, and obviously come back here next week for Wild West Diversity, when we'll be talking to Harlan Hearn, and we'll actually be talking to one of Jose's associates, Charles Flores Hearn, his grandfather. So he's handing off the rodeo, and he's taking on that new legacy and that new leadership role from his father. And their rodeo's been going on for 30 years, and now the next generation is taken on. And so we appreciate that. We appreciate him recommending you to us. And thank you so much for being on the show. And share it with all your friends.
I can't wait to come see the rodeo. I'm so excited.
Okay, that'll be great. So we'll have that coming up in June. So we'll have a rodeo in Dallas, Texas. So if you live in the North Texas area, you can come to Fair Park, and you will probably see Jose there as Tiny, or is it Cowboy Tiny? What do you do you switch when you're depending on your makeup?
You call me whatever you want.
Okay, that'll be great. Well, thanks so much, Jose. Appreciate you. This has been Liz Lawless, your host for Wild West Diversity, where we tell the rarely and untold stories of multicultural contributions to the settling of the West, and also those people, those living legends like Jose Hernandez, that are keeping this legacy alive for future generations. Thanks so much. We'll see you on the trail. Hello, this is Liz Lawless, your host for Wild West Diversity, where we tell the rarely and untold stories of multicultural contributions to the settling of the American Wild West. Each Thursday at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, we'll be sharing a historical legend and a living legend. Someone from history and someone living that Western lifestyle today, keeping it alive for the future generation. We hope you'll join us on Thursday. If not, we'll see you on the trail.